Joining me on the way forward is Dr. William Wainwright. He is the president of Southeastern Louisiana University. He joins me for the Advancing Southeast Louisiana Series. And Dr. Wainwright, I have to say, you are the second president to join me. And so I really appreciate you joining me. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Honored to be with you. And thank you for carrying these most important messages forward for the best interest of Southeast Louisiana. We have tremendous higher ed institutions throughout the region, and we're just grateful that you are carrying this message and proud to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Well, one thing that I think is important to highlight is that you are a true son of Louisiana.
I am.
I see that, I got a chance to see you speak once. I went to an event at North Shore Technical Community College. I see you spent 12 years there. But how's this for a Louisiana higher ed resume? You got your bachelor's from University of Southwestern Louisiana,
That's it.
now University of Louisiana Lafayette. Okay, wait. Are you one of the people who sticks to USL, or do you comply with Louisiana Lafayette?
I can neither confirm nor deny. I do have a degree there.
Gotcha. So a proud Raging Cajun.
Yep.
Also, your master's from Northwestern State and your
Correct.
doctorate from UNO. So that is really cool. So being a son of Louisiana, which part of the state are you from?
Originally from a small town just outside of Lafayette, Broussard, Louisiana.
Yes.
That's where it all began, and as you mentioned, had the pleasure of graduating from USL, going on to Northwestern, and then building my family and life on the North Shore. So grateful to the University of New Orleans for their Ph.D. program in higher ed administration. Had the chance to visit them recently, and they are doing incredible work. UNO is doing incredible work in furthering higher education leaders in the state of Louisiana. And I think that's something that's very unique to their program, and can't say enough about the faculty and the education program at UNO.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to having President Johnson on. And also, it is worth mentioning that part of your path was working 2-year colleges, Remington Colleges, Louisiana Technical College, Delgado. So I really appreciate your being a son of the state, and then also having this path through local higher education, and eventually to become a president of one of our 4-year institutions. And so let's talk about SLU and its contribution. One of the things that strikes me about SLU, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate this, is that I think the university has a great location as far as being able to make an impact on this region. How would you describe the overall impact of Southeastern?
Transformational, and as we're currently entering our centennial year. So what, in light of the conversation you just had about the 2-year colleges, Southeastern originated as Hammond Junior College in 1925. And it was established to ensure that all of the families on the North Shore who did not have access to LSU and other institutions or in New Orleans had a local option. And here we are 100 years later, 100 years, 97,000 degrees awarded. And so imagine 97,000 Southeastern graduates. And it's no secret when you look at the strength of the North Shore, the strength of the economy, that our graduates are making a significant difference in building communities and families and economies.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to that in a few minutes. One of the things that SLU got a chance to celebrate recently, I understand, is that this spring you've had the strongest enrollment gain for a spring semester in university history. To what do you attribute that, and what does that mean for the region?
Absolutely. So, a lot of people look at the North Shore and say, oh, it's growing, so the university should grow. Well, the fact that the North Shore is growing means that all universities are looking to the North Shore for enrollment growth opportunities. And so I say that because the reason we're seeing consistent continued growth across our parishes like St. Tammany, Washington, Tangi, and Livingston is certainly the value proposition, the value of a degree from Southeastern. All of our programs of study lead to jobs in Southeast Louisiana, and we're very proud of that. Affordability is very important. We're the only university that has a university-run book rental. No student pays over $65 per course for a book. The days of a $700 book are gone, and that affordability is so important. We know that many families can go off to college where there's one cost and then there's a nickel and diming process that continues to impact them financially. We're highly sensitive to the cost and the impact to students, and that's why we have the Southeastern Promise program. Southeastern Promise program is a program centered on student retention and completion on time. So a freshman who enters and graduates on time will never see their tuition or their fees increase based on what they paid their freshman year through their senior year. And that's very important. So we can give families that planning and that stability through Southeastern Promise to see their children through success.
That's interesting because now that I think about it, I have a cousin who is a Southeastern alum. He's an attorney now, actually, out in Southwest Louisiana. But he is a North Shore guy. He went to Slidell High School and then went to SLU. Got his JD from Southern. So that tracks. That tracks really, really well, and he's doing very well for himself. He's proud of his SLU degree,
Yeah,
definitely.
we currently have 5 sitting judges who all earned their undergrad at Southeastern and are living and working and leading in Louisiana. And we like to encourage all those judges to join us when we go to high schools and talk about all the possibilities when you begin at Southeastern, and we can get you where you need to go beyond.
One thing that everyday folks may not realize, especially in higher education, is the importance of partnerships between 2 year institutions and 4 year institutions. Why does that matter so much? And what does that mean for the region in your eyes?
When you mentioned being a son of the state and the fact that I built my career in the community and technical college system, what it means is I know our community college students very well, not just during my time at North Shore, but the time I had at Delgado as their interim chancellor. What I can tell you is that a community college student, in many cases, are non traditional. They're working, they're raising families. Time is the enemy. They're not looking to find themselves. They know who they are, they know what they want, and they know where they need to be. And so I'm very proud of Southeastern. We recently launched our quality enhancement plan called the QEP,
Yeah.
solely focused on the transfer student. So we now have specific transfer student support mechanisms at our university for any 2 year graduate who transfers to Southeastern. We have a direct connect program with North Shore Technical Community College on our campus where they're already be able to be a part of Southeastern. But think about this: within a 60-mile radius of Southeastern, we have 7 community colleges,
Yeah.
7. That includes 3 in Mississippi. And so it's important to us to ensure that we are doing our part to value the transfer student, understand their journey, and understand the impact that they have in building our communities and economies. And a final thing I'll say about the transfer student experience is many of them will graduate from our phenomenal community colleges in Louisiana. Within 3 to 5 years, a transfer student may find themselves eligible for leadership management opportunities. And so when you have a transfer into a 4 year like Southeastern, and you can assist an individual in industrial technology, perhaps a welder, machinist, electrician, who either wants to own their own business. We can support them through our Small Business Development Center, through our College of Business, through entrepreneurship, or you have, a machinist who is up for supervisory opportunity. We can provide them a transfer into a 4 year degree in OSHA and give them that opportunity. So, I mean, the sky is the limit for so many transfer students, but we want them to know they have a place and a home at Southeastern.
I have the privilege of teaching online, and I have that privilege of teaching a lot of non-traditional students. And I have to say, in being in the higher ed marketing community and communications community, our big conversation right now nationally is the enrollment cliff. And every time the enrollment cliff comes up, I always say, there are a lot of working adults out there, a lot of people with families who need to go back to school. And all they need is for someone to reach out and say, hey, listen, why don't you come over to XYZ University and finish the job? Just finish the job. We can get you through it. And one thing that I'm very proud of with higher ed is that there's so many institutions like Southeastern that make it accessible. You open your arms really widely for people who want to finish their degrees at 50, 60, 70 years old. And I have to say, one of my favorite commencement experiences when I was the PR director at Southern University in New Orleans was seeing a woman in her 70s get her degree and her family going crazy, the day she got a degree. So I think that's such a special part of higher ed that a lot of people don't think about.
In December, I met with a lady who was graduating who had started at Southeastern 25 years ago, attended 2 semesters, stopped out to raise her family, has spent her life helping her husband build his business, and returned and graduated in December. And the most transformational thing for me as a higher ed leader is she said, Dr. Wainwright, you need to understand at this point, when I apply for a job, I no longer check the box, some college. I check the box, college degree. And she says, you have no idea how important that is, to me and my family. So, that's what excites me certainly about the work. And when we talk about growth, to your point earlier, we are growing across all areas. We're growing in first-time freshmen. We're growing in graduate students. We're growing in high school dual enrollment, which is vital for so many families to give their children that jump start and that advantage in entering the four-year system. But one of the things I'm most proud of is we recently launched in the fall of last year, veterans housing. So we're one of the only universities in
Wow.
Louisiana that has residential housing for veterans and dependents of veterans. And so because we're Purple Heart designated and we're military friendly and we offer veterans housing and we offer Veterans Affairs services, we are able to serve not just veterans, but dependents of veterans, which is a significant number of Louisiana residents that we're just simply not serving well. And so we vow to do better by them. And so we're seeing a significant increase. Our ROTC program has doubled in size from 23 to 56 ROTC cadets. We're going to commission officers on campus for the first time since 1991 this spring. So it's important we look across the spectrum at all learners. It's important we look at people who just want to accelerate their career. We want to look at people who are switching industries, right? That's very common these days. And we want to look at those individuals I call academic wanderers, where they're getting bits and pieces of education from all over, but they need to bring it together and have a degree in hand. So all those areas are so important.
Yeah, absolutely. You're listening to The Way Forward. I'm Eddie Francis, and we're talking to Dr. William Wainwright. He is the president of Southeastern Louisiana University, and this is part of the Advancing Southeast Louisiana Series on WBOK, The Way Forward. And, as someone who is in marketing and communications in higher ed, one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to higher ed is that you will have alumni who graduate from an institution and they'll live in that community or they'll work in that community after getting their degrees. You talked a little bit about it with SLU. Tell us more about what that looks like in the case of SLU with alumni who live and work near the community where they got their degree.
Our alumni engagement is vital, and we're so fortunate because they're scattered not only throughout the region but throughout the nation
Yeah.
and quite frankly the globe. And so we're very proud of that. Many of our alumni come back and invest in countless ways. One of the examples is this Thursday, April 10th, at the Castine Center in Mandeville. Southeastern is hosting the second annual North Shore Executive Business Forum. We're going to have over 500 business leaders in attendance. We're going to have our Secretary of Revenue, Secretary of Economic Development with us. All of this was planned, designed, and executed through alumni working with College of Business students to ensure that we are returning the mission to the local community. So that's one
Mhm.
example. But another example, we have many famous alum. If you've heard of Bill Evans, we have our Bill
Mhm.
Evans Jazz Festival coming up. A very famous alum who has made a transformational investment in Southeastern is our Good Morning America anchor, Robin Roberts.
That's right. Yes, yes, yes.
And so we're very honored to have been the university of choice for she and her sister Sally Ann, who have both contributed
Yeah.
incredibly to the state of Louisiana and to our nation. And so this October, we are going to cut a ribbon on the Robin Roberts Broadcast Media Center. Robin has graciously made a financial contribution to allow us to do that, but also has placed this program now on the globe. And so, a lot of impact comes with those who've gone on, who are very visible, but again, who are giving back strategically for all the right reasons. Robin got her start here in Hammond, working for the local radio station,
Hmm.
and she still loves the Chauvin family and remembers them for everything they've done to help her. And I'm just grateful to her and to all of our alumni. We have several alumni events, throughout the year. This weekend we had a significant alumni event on campus to bring children of alumni on campus, an Easter egg hunt, and just all of those things matter to our alum. That sense of place and home, which is why they chose the university, cannot go away after they graduate. We must always be their sense of place and home.
It is one of the things I was talking to someone about not too long ago. Actually, I'm a graduate of Loyola, and so I was joking with someone. I said, "Hey, I don't care which newsroom you go into, there's going to be a Loyola alum in that newsroom." But I've also noticed a lot of Southeastern alumni that are in newsrooms, and their reporters and their editors. Great communications program. I would say an underrated communications
Well,
program at SLU.
some names. I mean, if you look at the public information officer for St. Tammany Parish
Hmm.
government, Michael Vinceno. Many of you may have recalled his time on WDSU, and now he's working for President Cooper. And he is one who is always looking for unique ways and opportunities to give back. Randy Russo,
Hmm.
a Ponchatoula native. Randy was gracious enough to record a video that we show to incoming students about kind of where she started, what was her journey at Southeastern, how did she get to where she is today. But most importantly, she does an incredible job of motivating our students to think bigger than what they may see in themselves, to be successful. And then all of our alum do a phenomenal job of highlighting specific faculty who
Hmm.
are the reason why they made the decision they made. They are where they are. And so I thank our incredible faculty at the university for, being that North Star for so many of our successful alum.
Can we park on that for a quick second? Because in all the conversations about higher ed, I think we often forget and we underestimate the fact that students do want to know who's going to be teaching them. And again, just kind of going into my marketing bag, I keep hearing these conversations saying, "Well, we got to highlight this, we have to highlight that." And one of the questions I'm always asking is, well, what are the faculty stories? I mean, one of the most fun things about going to college to me was having these eclectic human beings, these people with really interesting hobbies and that sort of thing. And you're thinking, well, this person is just a professor. And then you find out that he loves blues and he plays harmonica at a, at a local spot. Talk about what it's like for students to realize that number one, they're faculty, human beings, they're not machines, but then also to realize how much faculty really can inspire them and help them get from point A to point B.
I see it all the time throughout all of our colleges. We have a faculty member in arts, humanities, and social sciences that gives a lecture on how a liberal arts degree can get you a job in Louisiana. And that is very important, right?
Well, okay, I want to go to that lecture.
And he tracks very well with our students and their understanding because they're hearing the public narrative is, oh, liberal arts degree, you won't be able to work. But we know that through liberal arts education, we're seeing, our critical thinkers, right? We're seeing so many of our successful graduates come from those programs. Those are also that college also supports, political science, criminal justice. I talked about 5 sitting judges, and so it's important we really allow our faculty that that opportunity and those deep engagements with our students. We host Louisiana's poet laureate, Allison Pellegrin, right now at Southeastern Louisiana University. And one of the things I'm most proud is recently, there's a lot of focus on education rehabilitation in incarceration. And so through my 2-year partnership with Rayburn Correctional in Barnadoe, met with the warden a year ago, and he had an interest. He said, look, a lot of our inmates before release are rehabilitating through hands-on technical training, but a lot of them want to rehabilitate through the arts. Well, Allison Pellegrin, our poet laureate, she provides a program called Lifelines, where she goes into Rayburn and works with our inmates on poetry. And then Dr. Winters, who leads our Columbia Theater, he and a group of students are working with inmates who want to express themselves through theater. But again, that's in addition to, right, their day-to-day focus on teaching and learning and ensuring our graduates are ready for today's world. And so College of Business, I can tell you, our faculty in the College of Business walk hand in hand. I tell people all the time, if you like gnarly barley, and if you like LA Wallet, then you love Southeastern, right? Two examples of innovation that came out of our university: LA Wallet, as many of us know, and Gnarly Barley, our local craft brew company here on the North Shore. And again, countless examples, but faculty had a lot to do in working closely with these students and thinking and imagining and really thinking bigger than what they were. And so countless stories of faculty impact and look, that goes back a century. And so I can tell you, from the first faculty that entered the doors of Hammond Junior College to the faculty of 2025, the stories abound, and very grateful to them for their leadership.
All right, so a quick fun question. People have been, ever since Lions football came back, folks have been very, very excited about Lions football. But of course, there's a lot going on with Southeastern as far as athletics and student life. What are some of the things that you really wish more of the community would see on campus?
Yeah, so the spirit of community, and while we've got a huge local impact, through local Hammond community members and families, really bringing more and more people back on campus to cheer on our male and female athletes who are accomplished in so many ways. Think about what we're battling. So, back up until maybe even just 10 years ago, if you were going to catch your local regional public athletic event in action, you had to physically go to it. Today,
Yeah.
you can live stream 5 games at one time, right? And so we're seeing just across our conference that we're continuing to see attendance dwindle at all of the conference universities. And it's not because of a lack of interest. It's because you have now streaming capabilities of seeing everything at one time. So I'm proud of the fact that our athletic director and our coaches go out of their way to find unique ways to engage community. We bring all of our elementary, high schools in for certain games, for certain activities. We host if you're a cheerleader in Louisiana in high school, you're coming to Southeastern over the summer for your summer cheer camps. And all of that is very important as we look at ways to bring people to the university for continued engagement, especially, in supporting athletics, because we all know, you look at all that athletic provides a student. They have some of the highest work ethics, some of the strongest leadership,
Yeah.
and so very grateful to our coaches for the investment they make in our athletes, and grateful to our community. A lot of them support athletics not just through donating, but we recently established a collective for NIL, and we're very grateful for the outpouring of support so we can remain competitive.
So I always like to wrap up by asking my guests the way forward about a particular topic. And as a St. Tammany resident myself, I have had the opportunity to utilize the Small Business Development Center because I started my business. I went over there, got some help from them over there. What are some ways that residents, whether they're North Shore, whether they're South Shore, wherever they're coming from, what are ways that residents can interact more with Southeastern Louisiana?
So I would say, because of today's technology, plug into everything that we have to offer at the university. And one of the commitments I made upon my hiring in April of 2023 was to ensure Southeastern outreached better in our communities. And so we are out there. Look for us. Not only are we at high schools, we're at community events. Thanks to the generous donation of Great American RV and Follett Bookstore, we now have a Southeastern RV that is wrapped in green and gold. You can't miss us on the interstate. When you see alumni events taking place, when you see community events or educational events, lots of outreach in the community. Stop in, check in with our team. We're trying to do our part in being out there for our community to draw them in. But from small business development to continuing education to community education, it's all offered through your regional public university at Southeastern Louisiana University. And I think our growth speaks volumes with where we are right now when it comes to ensuring that we're accessible. Our founding mission is to lead the educational, economic, and cultural development of Southeast Louisiana. That is our mission. And by virtue of that, over 70% of our graduates live and work in Southeast Louisiana. We're very proud of that. And so let's all engage. Let's all work together. New programs of study. I'll just close with that. We recently offered a new program. It's our industry alum wanted an MBA, but they didn't just want a traditional MBA. They wanted one with a focus on technology and cyber. We built that. Recent alum, we had a void in medical sales in Louisiana. And so recent alum came together and we built a medical sales concentration through professional sales and marketing. A master's degree in strategic communication. We were talking about communications earlier. We've not only built that program, it's 100% online, and business and industry are sponsoring employees because of the importance of strategic communication in the workforce these days. So these are all market responsive programs that are really bringing people to the university, but we're not drifting from our original programs of study. Think about it: education, healthcare, business, right?
Hmm.
All programs that build Southeast Louisiana. We're not drifting from that. We're adding additional resources in those areas, but we're also evolving and innovating in others.
Dr. William Wainwright, he is the president of Southeastern Louisiana University. Thank you so much for joining me on the way forward.
Thank you.